Welcome back to Exorcist Reviews. On January 9, 1974, William Friedkin spoke with fellows of the American Film Institute for Advanced Film Studies. The following is an excerpt from his 4-hour seminar transcript, recreated through the use of voice simulation.
I saw The Exorcist in Westwood. The sound was very, very loud. Was that meant to be that way?
Yes, that's how I want the sound, very loud. I figured it took me 3 months to get the soundtrack. It might as well be loud. As a matter of fact, I have set the sound level in each of the theaters where the picture is playing. In the 24 opening engagements, I've set the sound level and the light level on the screen, which I will get into a little bit with you because it really turns out to be, I find, the most engrossing, if not interesting, part of filmmaking. And that's seeing what happens to the picture after you make it, because no matter what you hear, the projectionist has final cut, always. You've got to set the sound and light levels and take a hardline policy and make sure you get what you want. Now at the National Theater, we're setting the faders on 12 on the projectors. The manager at the National told me that he had gotten some complaints that it was a little too loud. Could we set it to 11? So I said, because I like this manager, he's a terrific guy, he really knows his audience, I said, could we sit in the last row on opening night and listen to it at 11? And it was okay. I could hear everything, so I've taken it down a little. But periodically I call him up and say, maybe you ought to put it on 12 tonight. You know, if it's raining or something, I figure maybe there won't be too many people in the house. Kick it up a little. So he kicks it up and he calls me and says, we got some complaints. So I say, put it back to 11. But you'd be amazed. The standard generally for how much light you're supposed to have on the screen is 15 1/2 Lamberts. Most of the theaters in the country run anywhere from 3 to 12, so that it's almost impossible to have your picture seen in some of the best theaters in the country the way you shot it. What we did on The French Connection and on The Exorcist is had some people go around. On The Exorcist, I've got the best people doing it. On The French Connection, we sort of improvised it, and all took turns showing up in all the theaters where the picture shows before the picture opens and setting the light level and sound level in the theater. In the case of some theaters, we replaced the screen. In the Gopher Theater in Minnesota, the guy who we sent out said, this damn thing is playing across the street from a whorehouse and a porno movie parlor, number one. Number two, there's potholes in the screen. So I called up the head of distribution and he said, how's it coming? I said, well, we have 23 prints ready, not 24. I said, the Gopher Theater in Minnesota is not getting a print. He said, why not? I said, potholes in the screen. He said, they put up $100,000 for the picture. I said, fine, they can put up $5,000 and replace the screen. So we replaced the screen for them and billed them for it. Cinema One in New York, which is a very good theater, very good house. The guy who checked the theater out for me called me back and said, I wouldn't play a Randolph Scott Western in here. He said, the stuff's running out of focus. The lenses are shot. So we replaced the lenses on the projectors at Cinema One.
You mean you replaced them as part of your expense or their expense?
We replaced them at our expense. At the end of the run, they can either buy the lenses or go back to the crap that they're using for their next picture.
And the lines at Cinema One are down to Grand Central Station?
I know, but I want them to see the picture in focus, you know? I shot it in focus. I rejected about 1/3 of the prints that we made at the MGM lab, which is an excellent lab. They do a great job. Out of about 300,000 feet that they ran off for us initially. We rejected 100,000 feet. That is myself and the people working with me to check prints. For the most part, my editorial crew. We checked every print that goes out. We're continuing to check prints right along, because that's something you'll find that you have very, very little control over, even at the top level. And unless you really care, and give it time, and raise hell, you ain't gonna get what you shot.